I can't, no, I can't make it big enough to see it.
Well, you probably need to download it and you can convince it to bring the units.
I won't down. Effective. What's the brand's correct?
Yeah.
Yes. Is it?
I'm gonna start the meeting. The reason is we have a forum issue that if a fire, if a emergency response happens, we lose ability to pass the ordinances. So, what?
Are we expecting an emergency?
No,
Oh, okay.
he's a search and rescue on call and his number's close. So, I'll call the meeting to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Davis.
Present.
Councilmember Keel. Councilmember Fur.
Here.
Councilmember Cormet.
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Here.
Councilmember Thisted.
Present.
Mayor Riley.
Present.
There are 6 members present.
Magic number. All right, the next item is the approval of the agenda. Were there any changes or anyone wanting to make to the agenda? Not, we have a motion to approve? Motion to approve. All right. Councilmember Cormet. Councilmember
Second.
Davis. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? So the motion is passed by a vote of, I didn't know, so I'm assuming 6-1, 6-0. The next item is the consent agenda or communications to council. Does anyone wish to make any comments to the council tonight? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Would the clerk please read the consent agenda items?
The meeting minutes from the April 9th, 2024 regular meeting. Excused absences for Dan Sullivan at tonight's meeting for virtual attendance. Councilmember Sarah Keel at tonight's meeting for virtual attendance. Councilmember Sullivan for the meeting on the 25th. Councilmember Keel for the meeting on the 25th. Councilmember Cormet for the meeting on May 14th. And Councilmember Thisted for the meeting on June 14th.
All right. Would someone please make a motion to approve the consent agenda? Councilmember Barnett. Motion to approve. Councilmember Kerr.
I second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion is passed by a vote of 6-0. The next item on the agenda is the consideration of ordinances on the second reading. Would the clerk please read the ordinance title into the record?
Ordinance 2024-0-05, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Keystone, Colorado, adopting by reference the Summit County Land Use and Development Code, published by Summit County, Colorado, as such code existed on May 1st, 2024, subject to requirements, revisions, and amendments as provided by this ordinance, establishing a penalty and declaring an emergency.
All right, I now declare this public hearing open. And the procedures that we will be following is first an introductory presentation by the town staff, and then an opportunity for the public to comment on the ordinance. The council will have an opportunity to ask questions, and then we will close the public hearing and then go into a decision process of how to dispose of the ordinance. So with that, would the staff please provide your presentation?
I can
Jennifer,
yeah.
the staff report, I'll answer any questions you may
Yeah.
have.
So the ordinance is an adoption by reference of the Summit County Land Use Code. This was before you, at the meeting work session on March 12th briefly, and the ordinance was approved on a consent agenda on March 26th, or March 26th. And essentially what it is adoption of Summit County's Land Use and Development Code.
Tony's gone.
For our council? Is there anyone else to present?
Only if you have any technical questions with the city code itself.
All right. In that case, I'll open the floor for public comment. Would anyone like to make a comment from the public? Hearing none, I will then have one last opportunity for the council to ask further questions. At this point, I'll declare the public hearing closed. And now we'll proceed to discussion of the ordinance. Is anyone for the council any questions or any comments you'd like to make on the ordinance? Or provide a motion? Councilmember Davis.
Motion to approve, hang on, I'm scrolling down here. Motion to approve the ordinance. Somehow, yeah. Ordinance 2024-0-05, an ordinance of the town council of the town of Keystone adopting by reference the Summit County Land Use and Development Code. Is that enough? That's fine, yes. Second.
Councilmember Thisted is seconded. Is there any discussion or any debate on the issue? Seeing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor, please, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Kerr.
Approved.
Councilmember Parmet.
Approved.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Approve.
Councilmember Thisted.
Approved.
Mayor Riley.
Approved.
There are 6 ayes.
I'm looking to see if our attorney had anything to say.
No, I don't, no. That's good.
The ordinance is approved. We now move on to the second ordinance. And would you please read that into the record, Madam Clerk?
Ordinance 2024-0-06, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Keystone, Colorado, adopting the zone district map for the Town of Keystone and declaring an emergency.
I now declare this public hearing open. Would the staff please provide their introduction?
So this is approval of the zoning map for the town of Keystone. And this will allow town staff to process land use applications. It identifies the zoning for the land and the boundaries of the town of Keystone. Again, this was before the town council at the work session on March 12th, and then also approved on first reading on April 9th. The map is included with the ordinance. And then also in addition this time are the zoning abbreviations that were added to the packet. So I'm happy to answer questions, and Mr. Hirsch is also available for questions.
Any questions? With that,
Yeah.
yes.
Could you do us a favor and just remind us why this is an emergency declaration?
It's an emergency because we are the town. The direction that was provided to staff is that as of May 9th, the town of Keystone is going to be providing land use planning services within the town boundaries. An ordinance needs to go through a 30-day process in order to be effective if it's not an emergency. So this needed to be approved on an emergency basis so that it could be effective on May 9th.
And that is the same answer as if I had asked that for the last order.
Correct, yes.
I appreciate you
consistent.
mentioning that. Thank you.
Any other questions?
The only thing I will add is the adoption of, which you just did, the second reading of the Land Use and Development Code and this map. They're intertwined and will run together as far as the administration of the zoning in the new town of Keystone.
All right. Any other questions? One comment I'll make for those attending from the public. It may appear that we've gone through these ordinances very quickly, have not had any discussion, just being ran through. That's really not the case. We had an extensive work sessions regarding both of these ordinances in the past, and so most of the questions were answered at that time and have been addressed in amendments to the ordinance, which is why it's been able to be handled so expeditiously today. With that, and we had no public, did I ask for public comment?
No.
Is there any public comment? Hearing none. One last opportunity for council to ask questions. In that case, I'll declare the public hearing closed, and we're open for discussion on consideration of the ordinance or a motion. Councilmember Thiston.
Motion to approve ordinance 2024-006, an ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Keystone, Colorado, adopting the zoning district map for the Town of Keystone and declaring an emergency.
The move, is there a second? Councilmember Davis.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any debate on the issue? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Although, will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Kerr.
Aye.
Councilmember Parmet.
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan.
Approve.
Councilmember Thisted.
Approve.
Councilmember Davis.
Approved.
Mayor Riley.
Aye.
There are 6 ayes.
Thank you. The ordinance is approved, and I would like to thank Councilmember Sullivan for attending the meeting to ensure we had our required 3/4 quorum of the members as a quorum to be able to approve these 2 emergency ordinances. The next item on the agenda is resolutions. And would the clerk please read the first resolution?
Resolution 2024-33, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Keystone, Colorado, setting the fees for various town services.
And with that, I'll turn it over to, I'm not sure who on the staff I want to go to. Someone raise their hand. The town attorney.
I'll take it, and I think that the town clerk, Ms. Liu, and Mr. Hirsch, community development director, can feel free to chime in. But essentially what this resolution is approving fees for town services that will be provided effective May 9th, and that is your land use services, your liquor licensing, your tobacco fees, and then your Open Records Act fees. It's common that fees are approved by resolution, and I'll turn it over to other staff to comment on any specifics if they want to.
Councilmember, Community Development Director.
Basically, from the land use perspective, the development review fee schedule that was based primarily from the county's fee schedule. We've talked about that also in work session extensively. I think this affords us the opportunity to open the doors and take applications in conjunction with the other things that we have approved tonight. So we can certainly look at these various application fees at a later date as we get going.
Do you have anything to add, Madam Clerk?
We also outlined the liquor and tobacco licensing fees. The liquor licensing fees are largely set out by state statute. For the fees, for the application fees, we're allowed to take up to a certain amount. So we looked at what other municipalities were doing and based it off of that. Similarly, for the tobacco licensing fees, we stayed consistent with what Summit County is currently practicing. And then for the KORA request fees, that's something that we already approved in the KORA policy, but it's just putting it into this document. And that is set out in statute for what the maximum amount we're allowed to charge is as well.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for staff? At this point, I'll ask if there's any public comment. With no public comment, any other comments?
Sorry, go ahead. So where will we be posting all these fees on the website?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, can I have a motion? Councilmember Thiston.
Motion to approve resolution 2024-33, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Keystone, Colorado, setting the fees for various town services.
Councilmember Armet.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or debate? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please raise your hand. The motion is passed by a vote of 6-0. The next item on the agenda is Resolution 2024-34, resolution of Town Council of the Town of Keystone, Colorado, approving the town manager employment agreement with John Crone. For those of you in the audience who may not know, John Crone, who happens to be sitting in the front row tonight as a visitor, the council has elected to hire John Crone as our first town manager, and his first day will be May 13th.
Correct.
With us. So this is approving his contract. And with that, is there any input from the staff?
I don't have any input. I'm available for questions on the contract if you'd like, but I think the mayor has spelled it out perfectly.
Yeah, and the contract is of course, it was in the agenda package. No questions? Can I have a motion? Councilmember Armet.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Councilmember Davis.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any debate or discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise your hands. The resolution is approved by a vote of 6-0. with a heavy endorsement from a member of the audience. Then the next resolution is Resolution 2024-35, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Keystone, Colorado, approving an amendment to the consultant agreement with the interim town manager. Would you like to discuss this?
Sure, I can do that. So, initially, the town council approved a resolution that had an interim agreement with Gary Martinez, the town manager, interim town manager, and interim finance director. That was a consultant agreement. A couple of revisions were needed to that consulting agreement, one to extend the term and two to revise the compensation structure. So it's before you tonight is an amendment to that agreement approved early in February to extend this agreement essentially to June. The date is June 30th. That it shall not extend beyond June 30th, and then the compensation structure is changed to, instead of an hourly fee, to a monthly fee for the interim town manager.
Yeah, I would like to point out that the change to this agreement results in significantly less compensation for the interim town manager, and it was made at his request. As we're going through this. In fact, the projected budgetary amount of this is less than the other budget, the other original contract. Councilmember Kerr.
And I'll add to that, this is necessary to extend through the beginning of John Kerr's tenure and some time for them for him to consult with a new mayor. Here, I can't find what was the original end date for the contract.
Middle of May.
I think it was.
Yeah, middle
Probably
of
supposed to be that first 90 days originally, right?
It was,
And some change.
It might have even been April 30th.
no, I think it was early May, and
Okay.
the objective, the reason for that was we were projecting the town manager to be on board by
Yes.
mid-April, and that allowed about a 30-day period for overlap.
So now we're just taking that open. Thank you.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion? Councilmember Kerr.
I move to approve Resolution 2024-35, approving an amendment to consultant agreement with the interim town manager. Second.
Councilmember Thiston is seconded. Is there any debate or discussion on the issue? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of Resolution 2024-35, please raise your hands. All those opposed? The motion is passed. Was there a hand?
Yes.
With a vote of 6 to 0. Is anyone online, Rick?
There's about 8 people, no questions that I can see.
Okay, I'd like to be able to see Dan. Thank you.
What's that about?
The next item is Resolution 2024-36, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Keystone, Colorado, requesting participation with Summit County for the sharing and distribution of revenues generated from a county-wide special sales tax imposed upon and collected from tobacco and nicotine product retailers within the town. Madam Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor, council members. So there is in place a countywide sales tax on nicotine products. That is, the tax rate was $4 a pack, and then there's an increase throughout the years through 2024. What is before you tonight is essentially a request to participate in the Summit County Nicotine Tax IGA. It's not signing or agreeing to the IGA, it's just a request to say, hey, Keystone is interested in this. With the nicotine tax IGA, Keystone, if it joins the IGA, would receive a share of the tax revenues, minus some administrative cost. The county does collect and enforce the special sales tax. And then those revenues can be used on specified items, and those are spelled out on page 73 in the packet, such as improving health and lessening adverse public health consequences stemming from tobacco and nicotine product use, educational outreach, improving availability of public health services related to substance abuse. So that's what's before you tonight with the resolution.
Does anyone have any questions? Councilmember Sir.
This is a request. And who makes the decision?
So in the IGA, it specifies
That all parties, but
yeah. Sorry.
sorry, it says under next steps that all parties, but essentially, do they have the power to say, no, we're going to keep it?
Probably they don't, no.
Okay, so this
Yeah.
could be an administrative to make sure that every municipality understands that we're
Yes,
joining the
that
IGA.
Keystone is going to be part of it, and then what would come back before you would be the IGA for your approval.
Okay, thank you.
And then this tax, if we do not participate, will still exist in Keystone. So there's no additional tax revenue, tax being imposed on members of the community.
Right.
This just gives the town an ability to influence how somewhere between $40,000 and $60,000 a year of revenue is potentially expended for these purposes. The IGA, as I remember, also discusses things like there's a board that's established of which this council, a member of this council, the town would be a party to, and that board helps frame decisions on, or with recommendations to towns on potential uses of these funds.
Yes, and actually, it specifies in the IGA, I don't know in practice, but that the town or county managers of each party is part of that advisory board.
Are there any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, may I have a motion? Format, motion to approve. There's been a motion to approve resolution 2024-36. Is there a second? Councilmember Davis.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any debate or further discussion? Hearing none, I will call the question. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All those opposed? The motion is now passed by a vote of 6-0. That's a record. All right, the next item on the agenda is other matters. And is there a way, Rick, you could call up the town manager as well on the screen? Let him be seen? Or is he here?
He's here. Let me see if I can get him. Gary, can you turn on your camera, please?
Hello there.
Hello. All right, we're now into other matters. Was there anything that you would, or excuse me, a report of the town manager and staff? Is there anything that you would like to report?
No, as I said earlier, mainly what I have for this evening's meeting, will need to be the conversation during executive session.
All right. I'll give the opportunity for any other staff members, since the town manager is not physically here. All right, the next item is report of the mayor and the council. Does anyone have anything they'd like to discuss or any issues you'd like to raise? Councilmember Thiston.
So there's been some internal communication going around about making sure that we update the community, and I just want to commend our town clerk. There was a communication that went out today letting the community know that there would be a controlled burn outside the shooting range. And I believe that the intention of the council and staff is to increase our town communications for situations like that, including lane closures on Highway 6. So we're trying to increase our communication with the community, but it's a process, so be patient with us.
It's a process that CDOT is not familiar with.
Yeah. Meaning CDOT has to notify us, so we have time to notify you.
Yeah, I would like to point out that the Forest Service was the one that was very proactive in notifying us of the burn and giving us that information in advance. So is there anything else any member of the council would like to raise? Yeah, I would like to point out we also had a more robust discussion of council and mayor and town manager issues during our work session earlier today as well. So with that, are there any other matters that any council member or manager or the mayor would like to raise? Councilmember Kirk.
Perhaps it's worth noting that most members of the council have been engaged in external meetings.
Yes.
The I-70 Coalition, the Summit County Housing Authority, the Intermountain Transportation, Regional Planning, what am I missing?
CDOT.
CDOT. And the Board of County Commissioners. I think these are all relevant because we are in the process of establishing relationships and sending some messages about the things that we care about with working, especially with CDOT and with our county.
In addition to those, the town manager has monthly meetings with all of the other managers in the county. The mayor and the manager have monthly meetings with all of the managers and the mayors in the county as well. And the mayor, the manager and myself have a monthly meeting with the GM of the resort here in Keystone as well to discuss issues. In fact, that's where as a result of an earlier session with Council Member Davis, that's where the concept of us partnering with Vail Resorts this year on the annual cleanup on June 1st came up, and the council has elected to direct staff to take steps to have us be a co-sponsor of that event as well. So we're trying to get out our face out in front of the community and show involvement as well. So any other issues, Mr. Town Manager?
I think now.
All right. With that, the next item of the agenda is a executive session. And with that, I'd like to ask for a motion. Councilmember Davis.
I move to go into an executive session pursuant to CRS section 24-6-402, 4B, and CRS Section 24-6402, 4EI, to receive legal advice related to the IGA with Summit County on transition services, as well as to determine positions and instruct negotiations accordingly.
Is there a second to the motion? Councilmember Parmet.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Can I have I'll call the question. All those in favor, please raise your hands. All those opposed, the motion is carried by a vote of 6-0. And at this point, and I would like to, for those members, folks in the community who are attending, for us to go into executive session that requires a 2/3 quorum, of members present, which we did have with that vote. There will be no further action taken after the executive session, and no other business will be conducted this evening by the town council after that session. And we will adjourn the regular meeting at the conclusion of the executive session. And at this point, I'll put the council in recess for 10 minutes for us to move to the library.
Candlestick.
And again, thank you everyone.
Hello? Hello?
Hey, Gary, this is Dan.